Welcome back to Yogi Food, the show where we take healthy recipes and try them out for the first time, or we take not so healthy recipes and see if we can make them better for us. Today we're making dinner. It's going to be ground turkey stuffed sweet potatoes. This is a really good source of protein because of the turkey, and sweet potatoes are a really good source of potassium, and it's a healthy carb option. Some benefits of sweet potatoes is they're full of potassium, they have a lot of soluble fiber which helps with feeling full, and it helps support gut health. It also is a good source of vitamin A. It contains about 100% of your daily value of vitamin A. It is also a good source of manganese, vitamin B6 and B5, and vitamin E and vitamin C. So full of vitamins, full of minerals, really good for digestion, really good for your skin health as well. When compared to regular potatoes, sweet potatoes have a lower glycemic index, which means they have a little bit less of an impact on blood sugar. So for people with diabetes, eating too many sweet potatoes isn't good because they are slightly higher in sugar, but replacing a regular potato with a sweet potato more often than not is going to be a better contributor to your blood sugar regulation. Also, they have higher levels of beta-carotene, which is what your body turns into vitamin A, and based on my research, when you add fat to the same meal as the sweet potato, it makes it easier for your body to absorb vitamin A. So, what we're going to need for this recipe: frying pan to cook our ground turkey. We're going to need a cutting board, a bowl, because we're going to scoop out the inside of the cooked sweet potato and mash it up. So we're going to put that in a bowl. And then as far as seasonings, we're going to need oregano, chili powder, paprika, salt and pepper, diced tomatoes. The recipe calls for crushed tomatoes. I grabbed diced tomatoes by mistake, so we're going to use those instead. I don't think it's going to play a big role in the end result. And then we need olive oil just to help mix the seasoning into the potatoes, and we're going to use it to grease our skillet. So we're going to use two decently sized sweet potatoes. One of them is considerably longer, so that'll be interesting to try to fill with things. We're also going to take a fork out. We need a fork so that we can perforate the sweet potatoes, and we're actually going to cook these in the microwave, which is way faster than putting them in the oven. You're just going to take your fork and you're going to pop vent holes into the potato all the way around on both potatoes, and we're going to put them on a plate or in a bowl, and we're going to cook them on high for 4 to 5 minutes per side per potato. I'm going to do it for the first 4 to 5 minutes and see how it turns out. Fun fact, you can also buy, I know I've gotten them at Walmart, they probably sell them at other stores too, but they sell sweet potatoes wrapped up in like a packaging that's ready to go. You just throw it in the microwave for like 6 minutes and you get a fully baked sweet potato, which is really convenient. I haven't tried just throwing it in, so we'll see what happens. I'm going to do this to both of the potatoes, and then I'll show you what it looks like when they're both cooked. The sweet potatoes took a lot longer than I expected. Each of them needed 5 minutes on one side, flip them over 5 minutes on the other, which is technically what the recipe said, but I was a little hopeful that it wouldn't be that long. So I went ahead and cooked up the ground turkey while the sweet potatoes were cooking. The ground turkey, while it's cooking, you will add some of the seasonings. The ground turkey gets 4 cloves or 4 teaspoons of minced garlic. It gets 1 teaspoon of chili powder, 3/4 of a teaspoon of cumin. It gets 1/2 teaspoon of oregano, 1/2 teaspoon of paprika, and 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. All of that is in the ground turkey and mixed up in there, so that is set aside for now. Now we're going to take our sweet potatoes and we're going to cut them in half lengthwise and scoop out the insides of the sweet potato and put it in our bowl so that we can mash it up. That one's still really hot. Whew. All right, let's take this one. I think this is cooled enough. Hoping the skin holds. It's a little almost overcooked, to be honest. I could have gotten away with 4 minutes on each side, but you live and you learn. Okay, We're gonna scoop out the insides of this one and put it in the bowl. I'm gonna do the same thing to this one, and then I'll come back before I add the seasonings. Here's the inside of the sweet potatoes, all scooped out. This is what our sweet potatoes look like now. The little boats that we're gonna fill up with our mashed sweet potatoes and our ground turkey. Now we're gonna add the seasonings to the mashed sweet potatoes. Recipe says to do half a teaspoon of olive oil. I'm just gonna eyeball this. I don't wanna grease up my measuring spoon. About half a teaspoon. Then we need our cumin again. This time we're gonna use half a teaspoon of cumin. I don't think I listed this at the beginning, but you do use it for both of the mixtures. Well, both pieces of the mixtures, I should say. And then we need salt and pepper. So salt is a quarter teaspoon of salt and quarter teaspoon of pepper. Salt. Pepper. All right, and now I'm gonna try to use the spoon that I used to scoop them out just to mix it up because there's not a ton in here. And the inside of sweet potatoes are already really soft, so it shouldn't be difficult to mash it. Once we get once we get the sweet potatoes mashed and mixed the seasonings in really well, we are going to stir in our, supposed to be crushed tomatoes. We have diced tomatoes. We're going to stir those in with our ground turkey, and then we're going to mix. The recipe doesn't say to mix them. I'm going to mix them all in this same bowl and then use this mixture to fill up the potatoes. So, it's starting to look okay. The seasonings aren't mixing as well as I had hoped. There we go. Okay, so we've got mashed sweet potatoes. Now we're going to take the turkey, and I don't like to use a bunch of grease. Sometimes I'll even drain ground meat afterwards. So I'm taking a slotted spatula and scooping it out. That way the turkey won't be too dry. I don't cook with ground turkey very often, but I have been told that it dries out pretty easily. So instead of putting it in a strainer, we're just gonna do it this way. That's a lot of ground turkey. I might not use all of that in there. It's kind of covering up all the potatoes. Then let's take our tomatoes. I'm gonna drain them and then dump them in. All right. Okay, I'm gonna take a bigger spoon. I'm gonna mix all of this up, and then we're gonna fill our potatoes. Okay, here's what our mixture looks like. All the ground turkey, tomatoes, sweet potatoes, all the seasonings. It smells really good. We're gonna take our spoon. We're just gonna fill up our little potato boats. We are gonna put these obviously on a baking sheet. That's where I've got them now. And then we're gonna take some cheese. The recipe calls for pepper jack because it is a Mexican style dish. If you don't like the flavor of pepper jack, it is a little spicier cheese. I imagine cheddar cheese or Colby Jack would taste just as good. All right. Fill these all the way. They look pretty good so far. I don't imagine that these are gonna taste bad. Sweet potatoes are awesome. I love sweet potatoes, but I really prefer them as a savory food instead of sweet. Like Thanksgiving sweet potatoes aren't my thing, but if you put salt and pepper and Cajun seasoning on them, that is my jam. This sounds really good. One more. We're gonna have a lot of this filling left over, which is great. This would be good over rice too, probably. So I like that we're gonna have leftovers. All right, all of them are full. We're gonna sprinkle some cheese on top. recipe says tablespoon per potato, which is really reserved amount. That is good. It's helping control our fats. I'm not gonna measure that. I'll just sprinkle it over. And then we're gonna put it in the broiler, which we also used for last week's recipe. These aren't gonna be the prettiest. They're coming out really messy, but I have high hopes as to what they'll taste like. This is a stinky cheese. Okay. Broiler is on. We're gonna put them in for, it says 30 seconds. I didn't heat it up first, so let's do a minute to a minute and a half. When I pull them out, I'll show you what it looks like and we'll do a taste test. Okay, here's how it turned out. Looks pretty good. You can see the cheese is melted. I did leave it in for about a minute and a half. Now we are gonna cut a piece. Now, you don't have to eat the skin, but the skin is really good for you. There's a lot of nutrients and minerals in the skin of the potato. So I'm gonna cut a piece that has the filling and the skin off. That's really good. There's a lot of flavor in there. That's actually really good with the pepper jack cheese because the sweet potato doesn't have, obviously it tastes sweet. So the pepper jack gives it a little bit of a kick. It could even use a little bit more, maybe a little bit more chili powder, or if you used Rotel instead of canned tomatoes, that would probably be really good too if you wanted it a little bit spicier. But I like this. This is gonna be our dinner for real tonight, so I'm excited to see if my husband likes it. I will definitely make this one again. This is really good. But yeah, that's it for this week. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you make this one. As always, I want to hear how it turns out for you. Make sure that if you do subscribe, you hit that little bell icon so you get notifications whenever I upload. Next week, we're going to make a little snack. This is a longer month, so we're not going back to breakfast yet. We're going to make a snack instead of a full meal, so you don't want to miss out. But I'll see you then. Bye!